I'm Stephen J. Garvey, founder, leader of National Citizens Alliance of Canada. Thank you for joining me tonight. I have a short presentation, and this is an information session that will give you, allow you to make better decisions in regard to your family and the country. So tonight we're going to focus on another tentacle of this globalist agenda that's being imposed on the Canadian people. And we're going to look at the Ontario Council for International Cooperation, OCIC. This organization has been in existence for 30 years. And I'm going to go right into it. And this is their main website. So the first thing you see, global social justice. That's their vision, global social justice, human dignity, participation for all. They're working globally for social justice. Do you know what social justice is? That means global citizenry. That's what it refers to, global citizenry. This is linked into what's called cultural Marxism and cultural inversion. And that's where everything is inverted, turned upside down, and we can see that with the progressive gender identity theory being opposed, questioning the traditional genders of male-female, attacking Euro-Canadians, attacking Euro history, attacking white people, turning everything upside down. And this is this organization. If we go further down, it's working to indoctrinate Canadians, in particular in Ontario, towards this globalist agenda. And it's connected, and you won't believe this, it's connected to a bunch of other groups. One of them is the Inter-Council Network. And this is provincial and regional member-based councils for international cooperation, global world order, to social justice, social change. It's also connected to the Canadian Council for International Cooperation. And this is all about sustainable development, sustainable human development globally, end to global poverty, promote social justice, human dignity for all. I hope this rings a bell to everyone, because what this is all about is UN Agenda 2030. And I'm going to get back further into that. And further down here, one of the partners is the Government of Ontario, the Ministry of Citizenship, Immigration, and International Trade. Another partner is Global Affairs Canada. This is a branch of the federal government, and it's an agency for development assistance. And if we look down at the bottom, we see that the main financial contributors to the Ontario Council for International Cooperation is the federal government and the Government of Ontario. Right here at the bottom. That's where you have an idea now where your tax dollars go. They're actually funding this global social justice, global citizenry. And what this is anti-Canadian nationalism. It's anti-sovereignty. It's anti-Canadian citizenry. It's all about identity politics. You know, pointing the finger of racism, blaming, as mentioned, the European Canadian ancestors. It also leads to taking down statues, like took place in Halifax, the Cornwallis statue, or in Victoria, the Sir John A. Macdonald statue. It's also encompasses affirmative action, blaming Euro-Canadians and white Canadians and giving the jobs to new immigrants, refugees, etc. And that's what they're doing. And this is through the Employment Equity Act passed by the Conservatives in 1986. It's all through that agenda. It's about condemning Canadian history, blaming them for the treatment of the Aboriginal peoples. And this is all about creating guilt. And so the Ontario government is funding this nonsense. And so is the federal government. It's unbelievable. There's no focus on the Canadian people. It's all about people-centered, globally. Not about the needs of our Canadian people. For example, there's 8,700 homeless in Toronto. This was just released recently. A quarter of Canadians live in poverty or close to it. Close to 700,000 seniors are living close to poverty or in poverty. But this is all about people in others' countries and somehow the guilt of these Western nations of how we treated them. I'm going to dig a little further into this. This is one of their ads, and you can see here the Ontario Council for International Cooperation. The government of Canada is funded this ad, and here the global goals. This is UN Agenda 2030. So I wonder if the UN was behind this as well, but I'll play this quick ad. And this is in one of their financial statements. This was International Development Week 2018. Again, the Ontario Council for International Cooperation. You got Global Affairs Canada, and there you have the global goals. This is UN Agenda 2030. So they're all interconnected. And this is talking about state sustainable development goals, 17 sector experts of the 17 sustainable development goals of Agenda 2030. So this is just another extension of the globalist agenda being imposed on the Canadian people, and you are paying for it. We're getting all these social justice warriors. Now you know why. They're being indoctrinated through programs like this, and our tax dollars are paying for it. It is unbelievable. And I'm going to dig a little further deeper into this. This is Agenda 2030. Go look it up yourself. Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, United Nations. Just look up Agenda 2030 PDF and you'll come to this document. This Agenda 2030 was adopted by Stephen Harper and the conservative government. I don't believe they're conservative. I believe they're really globalist. But they adopted this in 2015. They didn't consult the Canadian people. They did it behind the scenes. This is what's being implemented across all levels of our society. It explains the mass immigration, the open borders. All the parties in Ottawa support Agenda 2030. They never talk about it. That is a fact. NCA is the only party running in 2019 that will draw Canada from UN Agenda 2030. We have a video on our Facebook page at National Citizens Alliance and on our YouTube, which explains this document. But in short, this is all about global communism, global citizenry, and open borders. The UN Migration Pact is a mere extension of this agenda. and also Agenda 21. If we look further, this is from the Ontario Council of International Cooperation, their financial return. We can see that the Harper government back in 2013 was funding this social justice group to the tune of $457,000 a year. In 2012, the Harper government funded this $411,000 a year. So mistake not, this is not just liberals. These conservatives are flip sides of the same thing. And this proves it right here. Look at the document. Look at the funding. Why are they funding global social justice? Why are they funding global citizenry? Why are they not funding groups that want to help our people? The 250,000 that are in poverty, veterans who are homeless. So this is the truth here. The bottom line tonight is the false left-right, the false liberal-conservative are nothing but divisive control games by the establishment and the multi-controlled opposition in Ottawa. They are all on the same team. They're all in the same club. It doesn't matter which one you have in power. It's the same. But we're on the scene now, NCA. And we are different. And that isn't obvious. We support complete withdrawal from UN Agenda 2030. We will end funding to these nonsensical groups. Global social justice. We don't want it in Canada. We want to fund groups that are going to help our people in all across the country, locally, municipally, you name it. But this is wrong. But this is just feeding the open borders, the transformation of our country into what we call a UN globalist village. The facts are there. No one can deny them. Go look it up yourself. And this is our UN policy. Go on to nationalcitizensalliance.ca. Look it up. We're the only party running in 2019 that will withdraw Canada from Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. We will cease all voluntary funding to the United Nations. So check this policy out. But I wanted to give you insight of where your tax dollars are going, why you see the transformation going on, and the indoctrination. There's so many different levels to this, but this is just one of them. And please share your comments so we can get some feedback. And thank you for joining me tonight.